All right, so now if you have your books and want to whip them out, feel free, because it's a little bit more Alchemist time. So this is really very exciting for me, and I don't know how long it's going to take to go through this book, because initially I was like, I'll do it in 4 weeks. And then I'm like, there's a lot in there. Let's do it in 8. And then after last week, where I only went through like 22 pages, I'm like, we could go right through the rest of the summer with this book, because I got to chunk it down a little bit more, even for me. And so last week, just to recap, we were introduced to Santiago, a 19-year-old shepherd boy who lives in Spain, who is really appreciating his very simple life. He has his sheep. He has this occasion that he's looking forward to I was going to say hook up, to meet up with the merchant's daughter that he met last year when he sold a bunch of wool to the merchant. He has this dream that he is curious about, that he can't make sense of. And so in order to try and make sense of it, he enlists the help of a gypsy woman who's kind of a fortune teller, and not too satisfied with the exchange that happened there, but okay, that's part of life. And then he ends up running into this old man in the Plaza Square in the little town that he's in, and has this weirdo exchange with this old man, and starts to learn some things. And one of the big things that happens for him is that all of a sudden, as this old man is writing all of these things in the sand, like how could he possibly know these things without the shepherd boy telling him? All of a sudden, it's like something in him opens up, and he's aware that there is so much more to life than what he's experienced so far. And so the continuing is this. I'm the king of Salem, the old man had said. Why would a king be talking with a shepherd? The boy asked, awed and embarrassed. For several reasons. But let's say the most important is that you have succeeded in discovering your personal legend. This is on page 23, if anyone wants to follow along. The boy didn't know what a person's personal legend was. It's what you have always wanted to accomplish. Everyone, when they are young, knows what their personal legend is. At that point in their lives, everything is clear and everything is possible. They are not afraid to dream and to yearn for everything they would like to see happen to them in their lives. But as time passes, a mysterious force begins to convince them that it will be impossible for them to realize their personal legend. None of what the old man was saying made much sense to the boy, but he wanted to know that mysterious force was, because the merchant's daughter would be impressed when he told her about that. It's a force that appears to be negative, but actually shows you how to realize your personal legend. It prepares your spirit and your will, because there is one great truth on this planet. Whoever you are, or whatever it is that you do, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. It's your mission on Earth. Even when all you want to do is travel, or marry the daughter of a textile merchant? Yes, or even search for treasure. The soul of the world is nourished by people's happiness, and also by unhappiness, envy, and jealousy. To realize one's personal legend is a person's only real obligation. All things are one. And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Probably the most popular quote out of this book, right? So there are 3 quotes in there that really stood out for me, and every time I read or listen to this, I get something new, along with my favorites. But the first one was the one that we had in meditation, which is, whoever you are or whatever it is that you do, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. It's your mission on Earth. And so if we take a new thought perspective on this, there's this thing that happens, or that is said in new thought circles, that everything in life is created or manifested or demonstrated twice. Once in the mind of God or spirit or source or the quantum field of infinite possibilities, and then the second time with us. And so whatever it is that we want, whatever it is that our dreams are, whatever it is that we desire, we couldn't even possibly have that desire or have that dream if it didn't already exist as this possibility, this potentiality, in infinite potentialities in the quantum field, in the mind of Source. And then there's also the super famous quote, "When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it." And this really is about alignment. It is about harmony. It is about trust. It is about faith. It is about so many things. But ultimately, it is about knowing who and what you are at your core, and that at the very core, at the very center, at the very epicenter of your being is this creativity, this energy that is forever looking to unleash itself and fulfill itself and experience itself in, through, around, and as whatever, including us. Because if it doesn't have a vessel, if it doesn't have something through which to go and unleash itself, it can't actually be fulfilled. And so our job, according to Melchizedek, according to who and what we are, is to allow for that to happen. But that can only happen when we allow it, and we can really only allow it intentionally and purposefully when we're aware that this is sort of, one of the rules of the game. And then there is, to realize one's personal legend is a person's only real obligation. All things are one. And so here, basically, he's saying that there's only one thing going on, right? Everyone and everything is that. And in order for that to be fulfilled, just like I said, we have to allow for that fulfillment to occur. And that thing, that energy, that love, that creativity, that power, whatever you want to call it, it is constantly, continually expressing in gazillions, infinite ways, unique, original, unrepeatable, because every single moment is brand spanking new. The universe is rebooting itself anew, and we, as part and parcel of the universe, are brand spanking new every single moment ourselves. Even though it sort of feels and seems like, we're born, we're zero, we have our birthdays, and then eventually we die, and there's this sort of linear trajectory. No. Every single moment, new, 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 new. And because we are always at choice, something that we talked about in the earlier pages, because we are always choosing, then we get to choose what we want. And the more intentionally we choose, the more purposeful we are about our choices, the more aligned we are with our choices, then the more that power, the more that creativity, the more those dreams and desires are what we experience in our life. And so Melchizedek is telling the boy all of this, and he says, well, why are you telling me this? Because you are trying to realize your personal legend, and you are at the point where you're about to give it all up. And that's when you always appear on the scene? Not always in this way, but I always appear in one form or another. Sometimes I appear in the form of a solution or a good idea. At other times, at a crucial moment, I make it easier for things to happen. There are other things I do too, but most of the time, people don't realize I've done them. And so what he's talking about here is inspiration, intuitive hits, the nuggets that we get, right? And what is ours to do is to pay attention, because sometimes they are loud and clear, hitting us over the head like a 2x4, and other times they are tiny little whispers and veils of information that are so fleeting, it's like, what? And so we need to practice, right? We need to practice tuning in, not just with our outer ears and eyes. We need to tune in with our heart. We need to allow ourselves to be led. We need to be able to feel that tiny little whisper or whatever it is that comes from time to time, or that feeling, or that sign, if you want to use that word, because they are coming all the time. They are available all the time, but sometimes we are so caught up in the external world or whatever it is that we're doing that we miss them. And so it's ours to listen, to really pay attention and allow Spirit to do whatever it is that it wants to do. And so after this, the king tells the boy a story about a baker that he sees across the street, and he says how when he was a young boy, he wanted to travel. But then he decided that what was really important to do was to work really hard for his entire life, save some money, and then when he's older, he can go and travel and enjoy life. And so he tells the boy this story, and the boy starts thinking, maybe I should tell the baker about, these infinite possibilities that I'm learning about, that there's more to life than we know with just the experiences that we've had. But he grapples with well, is it my business? I don't know. I got this girl that I want to go and see, and now I have this dream that I'm having, and maybe I should go to Africa. And he's just going back and forth about what should he do. But the thing is, with this young boy, there is some kind of strong sense of faith in him, and he is listening to his heart, even though he doesn't quite know it because he hasn't practiced it a lot. But he feels like he's already made a big decision in living his personal legend because he went to seminary school. He was supposed to be a priest like his parents wanted him to be, but he decided because he wanted to travel and see the world that he would become a shepherd, and that's what he did. And so he's already embraced and he's already experiencing his agency and the power of choice, but now he's like, oh, now I'm presented with an even bigger choice. So then the king tells him about a story of a rock, of how he turned into a rock to help a miner who had devoted 5 years of his life to try and find some emeralds, and how almost at the point where he was about to give up, but the king was like, oh my God, I'm rooting for this guy. He's been trying for so hard, so I'm going to just show up at the time so that he doesn't give up. And he shows up as a little pebble that the guy picks up off the ground and throws it in anger against something else, and there cracks open a rock, and this beautiful emerald comes. And then it's like, okay, now he can continue with his personal legend because, he's actually realized it. And so the boy is learning of all these times that life or God or spirit or source, whatever it is, the divine wisdom, whatever you want to call it, can show up in life to help move things along, especially when we are starting to doubt ourselves. We're starting to doubt our dream. Do I really know how to do this? Do I have the time? Do I have the energy? Am I smart enough? Am I too old? What is it? But this little hit of inspiration will come, and that's when we really have to pay attention, because otherwise we can get so caught up in the doubts, we can get so caught up in whatever's going wrong that we give up just at the point when we're about to realize whatever it is that our dream is. And so after talking about all of this, the king says, look, I want to help you find your personal treasure, so tomorrow bring me 1/10 of your flock, and then I will tell you how to get where this treasure is. And the boy's like, well, I don't know, because, I saw this gypsy woman, and she wanted 1/10 of the treasure, which was kind of cool, because I don't even have it. And he's like, wait a minute. No. If you start out by promising what you don't even have yet, you'll lose your desire to work toward getting it. Bring me 1/10 of what you have, which is your flock, tomorrow, and I will help you out. And so then the boy sits there and he wonders, do I go to Africa? Do I check out this adventure? Do I try and find this treasure? Or do I stay here with these sheep that I know, who know me? Do I stay and go and meet that girl who I really, really like? Do I stay with this life that I know? Or do I give it all up to go and find something new? And this is the thing that we are constantly grappling with. This is the comfort zone that we are either staying inside or trying to move past, right? And if that boy were here in this room every now and then on a Sunday or Wednesday, he'd hear about nervous system resetting tools to support his brain and going, it's okay to have that adventure. You're fine. You can move past your comfort zone, right? But he's got this faith, and he does have enough going for him that he is meeting the old king. He is meeting the gypsy woman. He's learning stuff from his sheep. He's getting all of these little signs along the way that are nudging him towards this new type of life that he's not really sure he wants to have. So he's stuck there. And he says, or he thinks, the narrator says, he had to choose between something he had become accustomed to and something he wanted to have. And as he's going back and forth, all of a sudden the winds from Africa blow in. And as he feels these winds, he also feels envious of the freedom that the wind has to just go and blow around all over the world. That's even more freedom than he has with the traveling that he does with his sheep, right? So he thinks again, maybe I should go to Africa. So the next day, he meets the old king in the square. He gives him 1/10 of his sheep, and he's so excited because it was so easy to sell the rest of them. And then he learns about the principle of favorability. He learns about beginner's luck, and then the king tells him about following the omens, the signs, or the intuitive hits or wisdom that comes every now and then. And he gives him these 2 little stones, Umim and Thummim. And he says that one is for yes and one is for no. But he said, rather than asking the stones for help, you really should try and make your own decision. Find the answers within, because they're there, okay? Now, for the first time in 8 years since I started reading this book, I actually looked up Urim and Thummim and discovered that they come from Hebrew and that they mean something. And that Urim is akin to divine revelation, and Thummim is about perfection or truth. So when you bring them together, it's not just a simple yes or no situation like it is in the book. They are actually about bringing lights of perfection or revelation of truth. And the thing is, the stones represent the wisdom that exists within all the time. Even if he were to ask the stones, even if we were to ask crystals, or we were to go to ask a fortune teller, or we were to go and ask someone for some kind of wisdom or something, that wisdom that we receive back is just an extension of who we are anyway, okay? Just sometimes we gotta go and find it in a different avenue because we can't quite access it ourselves from here. So, as the king says goodbye to the boy and wishes him well, he offers him some words to live by. He says, everything is only one thing and nothing else. Follow the omens and follow your personal legend. But before he goes, he tells the boy another story. He tells the story of a boy who was sent to meet the wisest man on earth. A certain shopkeeper sent his son to learn about the secret of happiness from the wisest man in the world. The lad wandered through the desert for 40 days and finally came upon a beautiful castle high atop a mountain. It was there that the wise man lived. Rather than finding a saintly man, though, our hero, on entering the main room of the castle, saw a hive of activity. Tradesmen came and went. People were conversing in the corners. A small orchestra was playing soft music, and there was a table covered with platters of the most delicious food in that part of the world. The wise man conversed with everyone, and the boy had to wait for 2 hours before it was his turn to be given the man's attention. The wise man listened attentively to the boy's explanation of why he had come, but he told him that he didn't have time just then to explain the secret of happiness. He suggested that the boy look around the palace and return in 2 hours. Meanwhile, I want to ask you to do something, said the wise man, handing the boy a teaspoon that held 2 drops of oil. As you wander around, carry the spoon with you without allowing the oil to spill. The boy began climbing and descending the many stairways of the palace, keeping his eyes fixed on the spoon. After 2 hours, he returned to the room where the wise man was. Well, asked the wise man, did you see the Persian tapestries that are hanging in my dining hall? Did you see the garden that it took the master gardener 10 years to create? Did you notice the beautiful parchments in the library? The boy was embarrassed and confessed that he had observed nothing. His only concern had been to not spill the oil that the wise man had entrusted to him. Then go back and observe the marvels of my world, said the wise man. You cannot trust a man if you don't know his house. Relieved, the boy picked up the spoon and returned to his exploration of the palace, this time observing all of the works of art on the ceilings and the walls. He saw the gardens, the mountains all around him, the beauty of the flowers, and the taste with which everything had been selected. Upon returning to the wise man, he related in detail everything he had seen. But where are the drops of oil I entrusted to you? Asked the wise man. Looking down at the spoon he held, the boy saw that the oil was gone. Well, there is only one piece of advice I can give you, said the wisest of wise men. The secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and never forget the drops of oil on the spoon. The shepherd said nothing. He had understood the story the old king had told him. A shepherd may like to travel, but he should never forget about his sheep. The old man looked at the boy and, with his hands held together, made several strange gestures over the boy's head. Then, taking his sheep, he walked away. So with that story of the drops of oil, there are many different ways to interpret it. It can be sort of a macro, micro view. It can be a detailed, an overview. What I see it as being is there is an opportunity to really follow the rules and sink into principle and just like look at what is it that I have to do? How is it that I have to meditate? How many times do I have to pray? What are the books I have to read? What is it that I have to do so that I can live a great life? And then there's the infinite possibilities of what that life can be. And if you focus too much on this, you're going to miss a whole bunch of this. But if you just kind of like, oh, it's all good, it's all God, and you just like let it all go and kind of hang out here, then you're going to have a bit of a wishy-washy, willy-nilly mixed life experience. So the whole point is to pay attention to both. Because when you pay attention and are grounded and anchored in principle, then navigating all of this becomes much clearer. And even when it is challenging, even when times are tough, even when things don't quite go our way, as we are following our personal legend, because we have this anchor of these spiritual principles, then we are that much more present and that much more likely to not only fulfill our personal legend, but to enjoy it along the way. Thank you, and so it is.